The story begins in a typical high school classroom. Our main character, Lan, walks in, takes her seat, and notices her best friend Young already dozing off beside her. She refuses to wake him up directly and instead places a note on his face. Later, the teacher enters the classroom, upset about the low exam grades. He starts writing on the board. When he finishes, he notices Young sleeping and calls him out, waking him up scared. He asks Lan what the teacher said and she lies, telling him the teacher wanted him to clean the board. Young believes her and goes to clean the board. When the teacher sees him, he gets angry and punishes him, making him stand for the whole class. After the class ends, Lan is afraid of Young hitting her. She tries to escape the classroom, but when he calls her a coward, she returns and challenges him to a game of arm wrestling. The whole class watches excitedly as the challenge begins and Young easily defeats her. He tells her she lost the challenge and must do what he asks. He leaves her and exits. The next day, Lan wakes up and talks to her brother, learning that their mom will come home from work tomorrow. She gets excited and goes to get dressed. Meanwhile, Young wants to ride his bike but notices his chair missing, realizing Lan played a prank on him. He goes to take back his chair and leaves. At that moment, Lan comes out of the house and realizes he took her chair, so she takes her brother's chair and follows him. When she catches up, they argue, and Young hands her breakfast as usual. She talks to him about the challenge she lost and tells him that she's ready to do what he wants. Young sees tight pants in his clothes store and tells her to wear them and go to school. Lan reluctantly agrees and does so, arriving at school where all the students are surprised to see her. She enters the classroom feeling embarrassed, but her classmates continue to cheer her on for winning the bet. The teacher enters and punishes her, sending her out of the classroom, but her brother is proud of her for taking back her bike's chair. Later, Lan returns home happy with the pants she wore. Suddenly, her mom returns home making Lan nervous. She quickly takes off the pants and hides them in the couch. She then goes to the kitchen to talk to her mom, asking her to stay with them at home and not leave them again because of her work. Her mom starts cleaning the house and is shocked when she finds the pants. At the same time, her husband enters, and Lan suspects he's cheating on her mom. She sits in her room listening to her mom arguing with her husband, thinking she's to blame for everything. Her mom leaves the house and Lan follows her, trying to explain what happened. But her mom interrupts her, telling her to focus on her studies and leaving. The next day, Lan is upset with her friend and refuses to talk to him. She writes him a note, explaining that he's the reason for everything. The teacher notices him distracted and calls him to solve a problem on the board, but Young doesn't know how, and becomes the subject of mockery from his classmates. Later, Lan returns home and finds her brother looking for her dog, which is missing. She gets scared and goes to look for it at Young's place, but still can't find it. Young goes with her, taking an umbrella. Lan is shocked to see her father in a car with another woman, realizing he's cheating on her mom. She runs, feeling devastated and worried. She tries to comfort him, but Young stops her and hugs her to comfort her. However, Lan gets angry at him and blames him for everything that happened, saying she doesn't want to see him again. She leaves him and walks away, leaving Young upset by her words. However, he follows her and continues holding the umbrella to protect her from the rain. Later, Lan returns home and Young goes to apologize to her. However, she refuses to talk to him and asks her brother to close the door, saying they're no longer friends. Her father drops her off at home and Lan scolds him, calling him selfish. Young is leaving them alone. She goes to her room and calls her mom, asking her to come home. But her mom says she's busy and hangs up, leaving Lan in tears. Her brother enters, and is surprised to see her packing her bag. Lan tells him she's going to stay with their grandfather to focus on her studies. The next day, she transfers to another school, and her classmates realize she's gone. When the school day ends, Young goes to her house and asks her brother about her. He learns that she went to stay with their grandfather and decides to visit her. When he arrives, he sees her studying and wants to call out to her but hesitates, fearing she might still be upset with him. He changes his mind and sadly walks away. Days pass, and it's exam time. Lan answers the questions, reminiscing about her memories with Young when they were young, feeling like she misses him. Eventually, Lan says goodbye to her brother as she prepares to move to university accommodation, leaving instructions for her dog. Her brother asks her if Young will be picking her up, but Lan gets nervous and tells him she's gone. She doesn't want to bother him. She leaves him and takes a taxi to the university, excitedly arriving. She sees a group of people trying to help a cat stuck in a tree. Lan tells them to leave it and that she'll handle it herself. Indeed, she rescues the cat, and a handsome young man named Jean appears in front of her and introduces himself. He asks her what she plans to study, and she tells him she wants to study veterinary medicine because she loves animals. Jean takes her and shows her the girls' dormitory. Lan thanks him and tells him she's happy to have met him. She bids him farewell and enters the dorm, where she meets her female roommates and is delighted that they're kind to her. Later, she goes with them to a lecture, where the professor introduces the university's top student, who turns out to be the same person she met earlier, studying veterinary medicine like her. She overhears her classmates praising him, saying he's handsome. After the lecture, she walks with her friends, who ask her to wait while they buy ice cream. Lan sees a child struggling to shoot a bow and arrow and decides to help him. She tells him she's a pro, but when she tries, she fails, feeling embarrassed. Lan tells him she was just warming up. On her final attempt, she focuses, and he approaches her from behind, helping her, and she succeeds in hitting the target. Lan is surprised when she notices he removed his glasses and looks different. Young tells her he's at the same university and is also a member of the archery her friends call her. But Young doesn't let her go with him. He grabs her and takes her with him, causing an awkward atmosphere, and nobody wants to talk to each other anymore. They go to eat, and Young continues to annoy her like before, but Lan challenges him, confident that she'll win this time. Young agrees, and they play, with Young winning as usual and taking all her money. Lan reluctantly listens to him to pay for their meal. When Lan returns home, her friends ask her about Young. She tells them he's her friend and neighbor. She's surprised when they say he's handsome because she never noticed it before. The next day, Lan meets Jean at university, and he takes her to a place filled with cats, where she happily plays with them. She receives a call from her mom asking her to visit her, and Lan rushes to meet her, delighted to see her and goes home with her. Her mom has bought her many things and tells her she's working at a hospital nearby and can talk to her if she needs anything. Lan is happy and bids her farewell. She's happy to see her. She calls her brother to tell him she saw their mom and informs him they will soon be together again. But her brother seems unhappy. Meanwhile, Young is training in archery and impresses the coach, who asks him to become the team captain. Young is nervous, but ultimately accepts the responsibility. At the same time, Lan is in the lab, dissecting, and her friend is afraid of the sight of a worm, but Lan, determined, approaches it, shocking everyone with her bravery. Young is having dinner with his friend and sends Lan a picture of the worm, which is a picture of the worm she dissected, grossing her out. Later, Young sees Lan in the restaurant and realizes she doesn't have money, so he offers to buy her food. He tells her to say something nice to him, and when she does, he goes to get the food. Young insists that she eats only if she says something nice to him again, as he has won the bet. Lan reluctantly agrees and thanks him, saying he's handsome and kind. Young secretly records her without her knowledge. When Lan finishes eating and prepares to leave, Young stops her, telling her she won't eat unless she listens to him, threatening to share the video he recorded in the university group. Young's friend questions his behavior, and Young laughs, saying he'll get revenge on Lan for bullying him at school. Later, Lan finds herself asleep at her desk in the library. Young calls her and tells her to fulfill his request. He wants her to meet the girl who has a crush on him because he doesn't want to meet her himself. Lan reluctantly agrees and goes to meet the girl, only to be surprised to find out that the girl loves him and wants to be in a relationship with him. Lan talks to Young afterward, expressing her inability to break the girl's heart. However, Young wants the girl to stay away from him and asks Lan to pretend to be his girlfriend. Lan is reluctant, but feels compelled to comply with his request. She goes to the girl and tells her what Young instructed her to say. Young is present during the conversation to ensure that Lan follows through with his instructions. Afterwards, Lan returns to her dorm and shares what happened with her friends, who are surprised because they see Young as a later at night. While everyone is asleep, Lan sees someone walking, wearing a jacket with their face barely visible. When the person enters her dorm, she attacks them from behind, screaming to wake up her friend. When they catch him, it becomes clear that she's their fourth roommate who returned from vacation. The next day, she goes to class because the lecture is on, and she notices that Young hasn't arrived yet. The teacher enters and asks them to write their names for attendance. Young wakes up late and sends her a message to write his name in the attendance until he arrives. She reluctantly does so. Unfortunately, the teacher calls out the names, and she responds with her name. When Young's name is called, she changes her appearance, puts on a cap, and responds in his place. The teacher exposes her and jokingly asks if she thinks he's blind, which amuses her classmates. The day goes on, and the teacher teases her, telling her not to be late again. At night, she hangs out with her friends, playing games, and loses a challenge. They ask her to settle a score with someone from the shooting team. She reluctantly answers the question, and she answers it. Young reluctantly agrees and approaches Young. However, he refuses and embarrasses her in front of her friends. She's shocked, and her friends try to convince her to come back with them, but she refuses and attacks Young, hitting him until he's hurt. Afterwards, she regrets it. He takes her to the clinic, where she treats his wound herself, apologizing for her actions and asking him to stop bothering her. He refuses, so she gets angry and leaves. When she returns to the dorm, she discovers someone recorded her while she was hitting him. The video spreads online and rumors circulate that she hit a guy because he refused to get to know her. She feels embarrassed and continues crying. The next day, she goes to the university in disguise so that no one recognizes her. She overhears students talking about her. When she goes to order food, they recognize her and start harassing her. She talks to Young and tells him that people are chasing her. She asks him to tell them the truth, but he refuses and leaves her. This angers her, and she wants to hit him again and decides to get revenge on him. Later, she sees him putting his clothes in the laundry, so she puts a red teddy bear with them. When Young returns, he is surprised to see that his clothes have changed color. He receives a message from Lynn asking about the color of his t-shirt, and he realizes that she did it. He gets angry and decides to retaliate against her. He spreads an email saying that a girl is chasing him because he refused to give her his account. Lynn sees the post and gets upset because he exposed her. Then, Lynn goes to the place where there are cats and talks to John. She tells him that she needs money and asks if he knows of any opportunity. John tells her that the shooting team needs assistance, and if they accept her, she'll receive a scholarship and a good salary. Lynn likes the idea and decides to apply, even though she lacks experience. But the coach likes her personality and agrees, introducing her to the team leader who happens to be Young. The coach gets angry with him for neglecting training and insults him. Lynn takes him to treat his wounds, and tells him that she will be the team's assistant. After that, Young starts training harder in the gym, and Lynn supports him. By coincidence, she overhears the coach talking on the phone. She learns that if the team doesn't win the championship, it will be disbanded. The coach advises her not to tell the team to prevent them from feeling discouraged. Lynn goes to them to brainstorm together. She starts cheering for the team, playing music, distributing water, and training with them to boost their morale. However, the basketball team arrives and bullies Lynn. Lynn is not happy with the team, and Lynn says, turning off the music. One of the shooting team members gets angry and hits their leader, sparking a big fight. Lynn falls to the ground during the brawl. The coach intervenes and scolds them, mocking Young for being the team captain. He punishes Young by making him train all night. Lynn tries to defend him, saying that the basketball team was at fault, but the coach doesn't listen. She watches Young train and teases him when he finishes, saying he's exhausted. She claims he won't be able to beat her, but Young challenges her, confident he'll win as usual. However, she cheats and defeats him. When he asks about her request, she tells him to promise to remain the team captain and do whatever it takes to win the championship. Young is captivated by her words and promises her. He starts playing with her like before, and they both become happy, improving their relationship. The next day, Lynn visits her mother in the hospital and finds out she brought her the gift she wanted. Lynn expresses her joy and tells her she's glad to be close to her and able to see her anytime. Her mother is touched and hugs her, making up for the days she was away due to work. After leaving her mother's place, Lynn calls her brother and tells him about her visit. He sounds upset, and when he hangs up, their father enters and confronts Lynn about not taking the money he left for her. He asks her brother to go to her university and give it to her. The next day, Lynn receives a call from Blaine, who says he's in the city, and they arrange to meet. Later, Lynn meets someone she knows from online gaming at a cafe, only to find out it's her roommate's sibling. Blaine finds them for a meal, and he gives her the Visa card, asking her to forgive their father and accept the money. Then Lynn goes to the shooting club and sees Young training. When she hears one of the team members insulting him, she hits him and takes Young to treat him to lunch. After they finish eating, they walk together and gaze at the sky. At night, Lynn returns to the dorm but can't find anyone. John calls her and she goes to meet him on the rooftop. She's surprised to find out that the cat has given birth, making Lynn happy. She tells John that she remembered her puppy when it was small and how she found it on the street after its mother got hit by a car, which inspired her to study veterinary medicine. John is captivated by her words and realizes how kind and compassionate she is. Suddenly, the guard locks them on the rooftop, and Lynn feels cold. John gives her his jacket to keep warm. Later, Young arrives with the guard and feels jealous seeing them together. He takes back the jacket from John and gives it to Lynn, then leaves with her. When they reach the ground floor, it's clear he's upset. Lynn continues teasing him, saying John is a nice guy who loves animals like her. Young gets angry and tells her to go alone. Lynn throws the jacket at him and runs off. The next day, Lynn sits with her friends and tells them about what happened with John. She feels happy and senses that she might have feelings for him. Meanwhile, Young is training for shooting, and his friend notices he's distracted and seems upset. He suggests that Young might have feelings for Lynn and should confess to her before it's too late. However, Young denies it, saying they're just friends and that he enjoys teasing her because she used to bully him. Later, they have a lecture and Lynn sits next to John. He helps her focus by highlighting important points for her. Young sits behind them, clearly upset, and Lynn teases him, asking what he finds interesting about their lecturer so he can continue staring at him. She notices he's drawing something, and when she takes the paper, she sees he's drawn a dog's head. Lynn is puzzled by his behavior, but she's not surprised, and asks him what's wrong. But he doesn't respond and walks away. Lynn continues to bother him by holding on to the drawing. Later, Lynn goes to the restaurant with her friend, and Young and his friend enter, but this time, he ignores her. Lynn is surprised, and her friend thinks they had a fight. After that, they go to the shooting club, and Lynn notices the coach is upset because they're not focusing. She offers him juice after practice to lighten his mood. After training, she talks to the coach, who is upset because he feels the team isn't training well. She suggests they have a competition against another team to motivate them, and the coach likes the idea and agrees. The next day, he gathers the team and tells them about the upcoming competition against another university's team next week. They're shocked because the opposing team is strong, but the coach tells them to train hard to be ready for the match. One of the team members develops feelings for Lynn, and tries to get closer to her, offering to give her a ride on his motorcycle. He succeeds and punctures his tire. Lynn leaves him. He runs to catch the lecture. The student gets angry and argues with him, wanting to hit him with the bow. The coach sees them and takes the bow from him. He wants to kick the student out of the team, but the student begs for forgiveness. Yenji intervenes as the team leader and asks the coach to give them another chance. He punishes them by making them do fitness exercises. They thank the student for saving their future, reconcile, and continue working together. The whole team runs together, including Lin, and she is happy to see them bonding and becoming one team. When they finish and meet the basketball team, insults are exchanged. The team leader tells them that if they lose the competition, their team will disband. The team is shocked and upset. Lin invites them for lunch to boost their morale, but they feel discouraged, because they are competing against an undefeated team. That night, Lin thinks about how to motivate them, and grabs the microphone. She goes to the men's dormitory, and cheers for the team, highlighting each member's strengths. However, the dorm supervisor chases her, but John helps her out. He helps her hide in his dorm. Lin feels embarrassed, and John talks to the supervisor and convinces her to leave. Lin takes the opportunity to escape. The next day, she visits the place with the cats and finds John feeding them. She thanks him for helping her yesterday and tells him about the competition. John decides to help her, and they go to the team together with a camera. He continues to support them and takes pictures. At night, Lin edits the photos and writes the date of the match on them. The next day, she starts distributing the photos to her friends and informs everyone about the competition, asking them to support their team. After that, the coach asks Young to change his shooting style, but Young refuses and argues with him. The coach ends up kicking Young out of the team. When Lin finds out, she goes to talk to him and tells him that he promised her not to give up. Young tells her about his old coach, the one who made him love shooting. That's why he doesn't want to change his style, because it's who he is. Young tries to lighten the mood by making him laugh to ease his tension. Then, Lin goes to talk to the coach to understand why Young doesn't want to change his style. She tells him that he is talented and asks him to believe in him. She shows him the shooting board that Young trained on after he was expelled. Then the coach goes to talk to Young. He decides to make him the team leader again. He tells him that he and Lin believe he will perform well in the competition. Young is moved by his words and decides not to disappoint them. He continues to train at night, in the rain. On the day of the competition, Lin and her friends attend along with other students to support their team. Lin's brother also comes to support Young. He arrives at the team, determined from within himself. Everyone cheers for them. They reach the opposing team, showing their professionalism and thinking the match will be easy. The first round of the competition begins, with all team members shooting arrows at the same time to see who scores the most. Both teams score well and compete against each other. Some team members feel like they will lose, but Lin intervenes and motivates them. Young speaks to them as the leader, encouraging and boosting their confidence. They regain their belief in themselves. The second round begins, and Young competes with the other team's captain, who is a professional and has never been defeated in a challenge. Everyone is amazed by his skill. However, Young remains focused and realizes he can keep up with him. Lin continues to cheer him on, telling him he can win, and the two teams are evenly matched. With the scores tied, the match continues for a long time, keeping everyone on edge, unable to predict the winner. As time runs out, the score remains tied, forcing them to play one final round. The one who scores the goal will win. Young puts on his headphones and listens to music, which distracts everyone. Young looks at Lin, focusing all his attention, and the coach celebrates with the team, lifting Young up in disbelief. They celebrate their victory with a meal, and the coach urges them to remain focused and motivated. Lin is at the restaurant, eating with her friends and with John. Young sees them, and feels jealous. At night, Young talks to Lin, apologizing for his behavior during their school days, and revealing that his mother left home because of him. Lin tells him she forgave him long ago. Young tries to confess his feelings for her, but hesitates. Young says she is happy, wanting to ride her new bike, and Young gives her the keys. Lin happily rides the bike, and Young watches her, clearly showing his affection. Suddenly, Lin falls from the bike, and Young rushes to check on her, visibly concerned. He walks her back to the dorm. When he returns, he talks to his friend, admitting his fear of rejection from Lin. His friend advises him to confess his feelings soon, and she wakes up. John wants to say something, but Lin's reaction is not shown. When she opens her eyes, she is surprised to see him in front of her and admires his handsomeness. Young asks her out on a date for the next day, and Lin is surprised, but agrees. She goes to the restaurant, and finds Young there. She asks him about the type of girls boys like, and Young teases her, saying any type except her. Lin gets upset and takes his food plate away. The next day, Lin comes out of the dorm, and finds John waiting for her. He compliments her hair, which is long now, making Lin happy. They go to the library together, and Lin sits close to him while he draws, showing her interest in him. When they leave, a gust of wind blows her wig off, revealing that she was wearing one. John is shocked, but compliments her, feeling embarrassed again. Afterward, John takes her to a dog shop, and Lin happily cuddles the dogs. They then go for a walk together, and John tries to hold her hand, but Young interrupts them, noticing that she had asked him out. He feels jealous, makes a snide remark about her appearance, leaves them, and walks away. Lin is surprised by his behavior, and thanks John for the outing before saying goodbye and walking away. Young returns to the dorm feeling upset, but says that they were close, often argued, and made up on the same day. He sends her a message, inviting her for dinner the next day, and she happily accepts. The next day, they meet up, have dinner together, and talk about their memories from high school. Young gives Lin the card he took from her when they were young, and she is happy to see it, surprised by his kindness and thinking he wants something from her. Young asks if she has a crush on anyone at the university, making Lin embarrassed and unwilling to answer. She tells her she wishes to reconcile with her parents and become a family again. When Lin returns to the dorm, she creates an email account to talk to her dad about reconciliation, but he responds coldly, leaving her disappointed. The next day, her dorm mate wakes her up and they hop on the university bus for a trip. Lin sits next to John, who is supervising the trip. When they arrive, they happily take pictures with the animals. Lin accidentally drops her phone without realizing it. Later, John explains how to interact with the animals. Lin gets close to a goat, grabs its horns, and rides on its back, posing happily for as they get ready to leave. Lin realizes her phone is missing and goes to look for. She successfully finds it but returns to see the bus leaving without her, leaving her scared and unsure what to do. John notices her distress and assures her he'll go with her. They hitch a ride with a farmer to get back to the city. Lin is relieved to be out in the nice weather with a beautiful sky, but suddenly the driver hits a small lamb. Lin and John get out to check on it. They take it to the farm for treatment. After administering first aid, they arrange for it to be taken to the clinic. The next day continue their journey, and Lin worries about being late for dinner. When they reach the city, Lin goes to the hospital to look for her mom, but can't find. She learns from a doctor that her mom doesn't stay in the hospital overnight. She goes home every day. Lin is surprised by this information. Later, her mom comes out of the operating room and Lin learns what happened from her. She tries to call her daughter, but there's no answer. She calls her dad and tells him Lin might have discovered the truth. He informs her that Lin doesn't have an email. Lin's dad realizes it was Lin pretending to be her mom in their email exchanges. Lin is upset, and John tries to cheer her up. She is surprised to receive an email from her mom and eagerly reads it. She calls her mom, who explains that she moved to a different ward in the hospital and forgot. Lin is overjoyed and realizes there was a misunderstanding. He tells her he has a surprise for her. He got her a job at the pet store where he works. Meanwhile, Young overhears two girls talking about Lin and John, how they rescued a lamb at the farm, and seemed close. He gets annoyed and throws a cola bottle at them, which explodes on their clothes. When Lin returns to her dorm, the supervisor tells her that a handsome guy left her a gift. Lin is excited, thinking it's from John. The next day, she goes to the shooting club and tells Lin that she's leaving the team to work at the pet store. She lets Lin know that Jean will take her place. Young is surprised, showing signs of being upset. Lin starts her first day at work, and the manager instructs her to clean the animal cages until she learns the job. Lin reluctantly agrees. Later, the coach introduces Jean to the team as the new assistant. John's friend is happy to see her because he's interested in her. He helps her while she's picking up clothes and tells her that Young loves Lin and asks her to help him get closer to her. We see Lin at work, and John comes to help her. In the evening, Lin returns to the dorm tired. Her friend tells her that Young has been asking for her a lot at the club. The next day, she argues with him and tells him to leave her friend alone. They play a game of chess, and Lin loses. She feels like she's late for work, so she rides her bike there. When she arrives, the manager tells her she's late and warns her that this is her last chance. She won't allow her to break the rules just because she's the friend of the owner's son. Lin is surprised because she didn't know John's father owned the place. When she starts working, she says, she guesses which cages need to be cleaned, but the manager scolds her, making her upset. She walks away crying, and John follows her, trying to console her and encourage her. The next day, Lin returns to work and finds John alone there. The manager is on vacation. She takes care of the animals and prepares their food. John compliments her and takes her to trim the dog's nails, continuing to flirt with her. When Lin accidentally injures herself, she feels embarrassed and hurts herself unintentionally. She takes her to the clinic where she receives a shot. Young gets upset with John because he feels responsible for the accident. Lin is surprised that he's so concerned about her. Young becomes tense and goes to get her medication. Lin leaves the clinic, and she takes a walk with John. She's surprised to find out that he wasn't the one who sent her the gift. John comes and takes her hand, revealing that he was the one who sent her the gift. Lin thanks him and walks with him back to the dorm. Later, Lin goes to visit her mother. When she learns that she hurt herself, her mother gets upset and tells her to be careful. Lin is happy that her mother cares about her. The semester ends, and students are supposed to return home. However, Young has winter training with the shooting team and is upset because he won't see Lin. His friend advises him to confess his feelings before she leaves. However, Young hesitates. The next day, his friend says goodbye to Jean, who's leaving, and tells her he'll miss her. He takes a taxi and tells her to call him when she arrives. Young learns from Lin's friend that she's staying in the city. When he calls her, she tells him she's leaving. He overhears John's voice as they agree to watch the fireworks together. He feels jealous and walks away angry. Lynn is seen chasing a dog in the store when John's parents enter and scold her for neglecting her duties, warning her that the dog might escape. Lynn is seen chasing a dog in the store when John's parents enter and scold her for neglecting her duties, warning her that the dog might escape. John recognizes them and introduces Lynn as his university classmate. Lynn lets them talk while she walks away. She receives a call from her mother, who tells her she won't be able to meet her for New Year's Eve, which upsets Lynn because she wanted her family to be together. She looks at John and his family sadly, before going to Young's dorm and finding him packing his bag. She's surprised to learn that he has winter training and won't be going home. She tries to talk to him, but he doesn't respond, so she leaves to find her boyfriend, feeling upset. When she returns to her dorm, it's empty, and she finds the broken gift from Young. She picks up the pieces from the floor, crying. The next day, she goes to visit her mother in the hospital and waits for her in her office. She's happy to see her mother holding their photo album, but when she opens it, she's surprised to find pictures of her mother with another man and their daughter. Lynn confronts her mother, asking when she divorced her father. Her mother tells her it was 10 years ago. Lynn breaks down. She's feeling betrayed by her mother for not telling her the truth all these years and not understanding why she abandoned her and her sisters. She cries, trying to explain to her mother how she feels, but Lynn doesn't listen and tells her that she's given up on her and her sisters and doesn't love them anymore. Lynn leaves the hospital crying and wanders the city, reminiscing about her memories with her mother. At night, Young prepares to go to his training with his team. He receives a call from Abuland, who tells him that Lynn isn't answering her phone, and they don't know where she is. Young gets worried and goes to look for her. He searches everywhere but fails to find her. When she finally answers his call, he scolds her and asks her where she is. She tells him she's at her usual spot and Young rushes there. When he arrives, he finds her crying uncontrollably. Young carries her on his back and walks with her like before. Lynn is drunk and delirious, so Young has to take her to a hotel to sleep. He watches over her while she sleeps. When Lynn wakes up, her brother calls her to check on her. She refuses to tell him that they're parents. When she hangs up, she's scared, especially when Young ends up in the same room as her. She quickly gathers her things and leaves, but Young comes out of another room and tells her to wait for him. They go to eat together, and Lynn tells him about her parents' divorce and how she wishes for a normal family. Young is sympathetic and tries to comfort her. Later, Lynn leaves and goes to the pet store where she meets John and asks for some time off, without explaining why. She says goodbye to the dogs and leaves, taking the bus with Young back home. When she arrives, she goes straight to her room without talking to anyone. Her father comes in and tells her the truth about their divorce and how they hid it from them because they were young. Lynn cries because her father lied to her all these years and asks to be left alone. The next day, she wakes up to find a message from Young saying he's at training, and to call him if she needs anything. Lynn's brother enters her room and surprises her by knowing about their parents' divorce, but not telling her to avoid upsetting her. Lynn is touched by her younger brother's concern for her feelings. On New Year's Eve, Lynn sits with her father and brother to have dinner together. However, she misses her mother and leaves them to go to her room. Her mother sends her a message wishing her a happy new year, but Lynn doesn't respond and feels sad. Suddenly, she sees fireworks in front of her house, which surprises her. She looks down and finds Young beneath her house, waving to her and sending her a message wishing her a happy new year and hoping all her wishes come true. Lynn is delighted and thanks him, enjoying the fireworks all night long. The next day, Lynn wakes up to find her mother at the door, but she doesn't respond and refuses to open it. Her mother comes downstairs, upset, and meets Young on the street, asking to talk to him to explain why she hid the truth from Lynn. She apologizes and asks him to stay by her daughter's side until she feels better. Young promises to do so and goes to their house, bringing Lynn breakfast and taking care of her. Lynn eats happily, and after that she goes out with Young and takes the bus with him. He closes the window to keep her warm and takes her to his house. Her mother is happy to see her and welcomes her warmly. Lynn enjoys her time at their house, feeling like it's her own home. She sees pictures of them when they were young and remembers their memories together, feeling emotional and happy. Young enters her room and finds her crying. He tells her he will always be there for her and will never abandon her. He wants to confess his love for her, but she already knows what he wants to say. Young is surprised and asks her how she knew. Lynn hints that she met her mother and talked to her. Young becomes nervous and takes her out for ice cream. Of course, Lynn's eyes are bigger than her stomach, and she orders 5 for herself alone. When Young tells Lynn that she will be the one held accountable, she retracts her statement and asks for just 1. They sit together and enjoy their time, feeling happy. Afterwards, Lynn returns to her university dorm and starts organizing her things. She goes to meet John at the store, and he is surprised to see her. A customer enters and buys food for his dog. Later, Lynn receives a call from her mother. When Young finishes the call, he starts crying. When Lynn asks him why, he tells her that his wife is in the hospital and their dog has passed away. He lied to her. He told her that he was in the hospital because he didn't want her to get upset. Lynn is saddened by the news and remembers how her mother deceived her by lying to her so she wouldn't get upset. Later, she goes to meet Young and plays with his bike. She rides behind him to drive, but he falls on his shoulder and grimaces in pain. Lin worries about him and wants to take him to the clinic, but Young asks her to take him to the hospital. When they arrive, he sends a message to her mother to inform her. They go for an x-ray, and the doctor tells him that he's fine. Young feels embarrassed but insists he's fine and wants to move his arm. Lin is surprised and suspicious, thinking he's lying to her, so she continues to hit him for deceiving her. When they leave the room, they find her mother in front of them, who accidentally saw them. She holds Lin's hand to reconcile with her, but Lin is still upset with her. Her mother informs them that she invited them for lunch. Lin goes to change her clothes, and Young tells her he'll leave them alone to talk. After her mother finishes her work, she takes her and they go to eat pizza together. Her mother tells her she still loves her and asks for forgiveness, but Lin says she hasn't forgiven her. She leaves crying. Later, Lin meets Young and goes with him to buy a new cup to replace the broken one. The next day, she goes to the pet store and continues to play with the dogs. When she returns to the dorm, her friend confesses to her that she broke the cup because she's trying to impress Young, who likes Lin, but she's not aware of it. She asks for her help to get closer to Young, but Lin refuses and leaves her, crying. Later, Young's friend calls Jen and asks her to meet him on the roof. When she's late, he sits on the fence and people think he wants to commit suicide. Jen goes to him and they argue, and he confesses that he likes her and asks her to be his girlfriend. Jen agrees, and they hug, making everyone happy with what happened. At night, Lin goes to meet Young, and she finds him holding a surprise for her, a bouquet of flowers. He confesses his love for her and moves closer to hug her. Suddenly, she wakes up startled, realizing it was just a dream. She wonders why she's dreaming about her friend and fears she might be developing feelings for him. Then, she receives a call from John, informing her that a dog has escaped. Lin quickly puts on her clothes and rushes to meet him. They separate to search for the dog, and Lin continues asking people about it, but no one has seen it. Eventually, John finds her with the dog, having gone to check on her. He admits his feelings for her, surprising Lin. However, she apologizes and tells him she loves someone else. John is shocked and realizes she loves Young. They agree to remain friends. That night, Lin is in her dorm thinking about how to get Young's attention so he'll love her. Her friend enters with a new cup to replace the broken one, apologizing to Lin. Lin forgives her on the condition that she teaches her how to apply makeup, to which her friend agrees. They continue laughing and joking together. Lin's friends choose clothes for her, and she goes to the club. When Young sees her, he's surprised to see her wearing lipstick for the first time, and Lin is delighted that he noticed. She asks if she looks nice, but Young jokingly says she looks like she ate a dead rat. Lin gets annoyed, but holds back from hitting him. Young offers her his jacket to wear, and Lin is happy to see his kindness. She decides to cheer him on and praises every move he makes, calling him the best player in the world, much to everyone's surprise. Young gets annoyed with her and tells her to stop being so enthusiastic. Lin walks away embarrassed. Later, Lin goes to the dog shop, and is surprised when Young visits her and meets John. When they leave, Young tells her that John is kind and wealthy, and encourages her to consider him. However, Lin refuses and tells him that Young is better than him. Suddenly, Young appears and overhears her, making Lin nervous and embarrassed. The three of them decide to have lunch together. Lin remains annoyed with her brother and continues to hit him, jokingly claiming she's cleaning his clothes. Her brother bids her farewell, and she hugs him, wishing him luck with his studies. Lin rides behind Young on the bike, happily hugging him. Later, Lin realizes that Young's birthday is approaching. She decides to use the money she received to buy him a cake and a gift. She goes to his dorm and finds Young asleep. Lin starts drawing on his face with a pen, annoying Young, who wants to hit her but refrains because he likes her. When she leaves the room, Young wakes up, washes his face, and follows her, pretending to be angry. He takes her back to his dorm and asks her to clean his face. They feel embarrassed being so close to each other. When Lin finishes, she lights candles and gives Young his gift, a protective shoulder pad for training. He loves the gift and hugs her, confessing his love and hoping she'll be his girlfriend. She happily agrees, but their moment is interrupted by Young's friends, who feel awkward and leave. Young takes Lin's hand, and they spend the rest of the day together. He drops her off at her dorm at night, and Lin can't believe what happened. Young hugs her to assure her it wasn't a dream. She returns to her dorm, ecstatic, and shares the story with her friend. The next day, Lin wakes up feeling happy after experiencing the feeling of love and liking it. She goes to buy breakfast for Young, but he tells her to return to her dorm. When she goes there, she finds him bringing her breakfast, too, and she is delighted by his thoughtfulness. They eat together in the garden. Afterward, he waits for her after her classes with his bike, and she happily rides behind him as they go to have lunch. John sees them together and feels jealous. Young takes Lin to the zoo to give her some space. However, seeing the animals confined makes her sad. They then stroll in the rain, enjoying each other's company, taking pictures, and spending quality time together. Young takes her to meet his family after they become closer. His mother is delighted to see her and says she's like a daughter to her. Lin enters Young's family album, placing their picture alongside the old ones. In the evening, they walk together, watching the snow fall, and then they visit a familiar store owned by their friends. Lin reminisces about the old days with the shopkeeper and brings them the pasta they used to eat together. She tells them they are a perfect match. Another day, Young surprises her with a gift, telling her she can only open it with a password he will reveal at the right time. They take the bus back to the city, and Lin hesitates to let him sit next to her, but eventually, exhaustion overcomes her, and she falls asleep on his shoulder. Young stays by her side to ensure she's comfortable. When they arrive, they watch fireworks together, feeling content. Lin returns to her dorm where her friends ask her about her outing with Young, making her feel embarrassed. At this time, Lin's brother is taking his exams, and he manages to do well. He receives an acceptance letter from Lin's university. He travels to the city and invites Lin to lunch to celebrate this occasion. Lin's brother tells her that he's waiting for someone. The roommate joins them and sits with them. Lin's brother thanks her because she was the reason for his success due to her advice. He goes with her to the motorcycle shop where she usually shops, and he is impressed by her. However, she suddenly has an accident and falls off the motorcycle, and he rushes to check on her. They go to the hospital, and her condition is critical. When she wakes up, she continues crying because she might not be able to walk again. Lin visits her and hugs her to comfort her. She asks her brother to take care of her. Later, the shooting team has a major championship. Lin goes to bid farewell. She tells him that she hopes he wins. He hugs her and says goodbye. When the team arrives at the stadium, the captain of the opposing team, whom Young defeated before, approaches him and tells him that he will avenge his defeat and win in the final. Many players participate, and the championship begins. They continue shooting arrows, and those with the lowest scores are eliminated in the first round. Lin watches them from the stands, knowing that Young has reached the final round. The opponent is the captain of the team he previously played against, and worries because he is a professional. They compete after a long time, just like the last time. Young takes the lead. When it's time for the final shot, Young feels dizzy, and his vision blurs. However, he focuses his strength, closes his eyes, shoots the arrow, and successfully hits the target. The referee declares him the winner of the championship. Lin rejoices, cheering his name loudly, and congratulates him over the phone for winning the title of the championship. The best player. His opponent comes to congratulate him and acknowledges his talent, but Young is still anxious. He continues training alone, but the coach notices him and advises him to rest so he can continue the rest of the tournament. The next day, the team competition begins. Young is tense and quiet, unlike his usual self. His friend notices and asks him what's wrong, but Young remains silent as they continue shooting arrows. Their team is in the lead, and it's Young's turn to hit the target to secure the championship for their team. However, Young feels dizzy, and his hand trembles. He struggles to see the target clearly, and when he shoots the arrow, he fails to hit it. Everyone is shocked because Young, the most skilled player in the team, has never missed a shot before. The university loses the championship. Afterwards, his friend confronts him and accuses him of intentionally missing the shot to win the individual championship and lose the team championship. Young doesn't respond and walks away, leaving his friend frustrated, yelling that he betrayed them after they trusted him and considered him their leader. When the team returns to the university, they are waiting for them, but no one from the team responds to Lin's congratulations on their performance. Lin is surprised and learns from her friend what happened. Later, Young tries to train at the shooting range, but he feels incapable of hitting the target and throws the bow on the ground in frustration. When the team follows him into the changing room and asks for an explanation, Young breaks their hearts. He tells them that they are a burden to him, and none of them are at his level. He tells them he's quitting the game. Everyone is shocked by his words, and his friend throws his arrows on the ground, saying he doesn't deserve to be the team captain. Lin learns about what happened and looks for Young. She finds him sitting alone under a tree and tries to talk to him to understand the reason, but Young is sad. He tells her he decided to quit to focus on his studies. Afterwards, Lin walks with Young and asks him what he plans to do after graduation, and if he wants to become a shooting coach. But Young gets upset with her and tells her not to bring up the subject again. He leaves her surprised by his behavior. Young goes to a place in the mountains and tries to practice archery without anyone seeing him. However, he fails to hit any target, and it's evident that he's feeling sad. Later, the coach goes looking for Young and keeps asking about him until he finds his whereabouts. When he enters Young's cabin and finds the archery board, he is surprised to see that Young can't hit the target. Young enters, and the coach asks him what he's doing there. The coach takes the bow and arrows and tells Young to follow him. He sets a distant and small target and tells Young to aim at it. When Young tries, he manages to hit the target, surprising himself. The coach tells him that he has a fear of the archery board because of what's on it and suggests that he needs psychological rehabilitation. He offers to take him for treatment abroad, but Young says he'll think about it and leaves. Later, Lin is studying at the library when Young calls and asks to see her. She happily goes to the library. When she sees him, she hugs him, telling him she missed him. but Young tells her that he's going abroad to continue training. Lin is surprised and upset, telling him that he wants to abandon her and leave her like her mother did. She leaves him crying. Young feels guilty and afraid of losing her. He goes to the coach and tells him that he's not going to travel. The coach tries to convince him not to give up on his dream, but Young is determined to stay by Lin's side. At night, Lin walks alone, contemplating what happened, and tears well up in her eyes. She invites Lin to join her, taking her to the archery club. There, Young is training, trying to hit the target while crying. When Lin arrives, the coach explains everything about Young's condition to her and hands her the binoculars. Lin is surprised to learn that Young can't hit the target and feels shocked and sad. She continues to cry. The next day, Lin waits for Young under the dormitory, and they go to a restaurant. Young is surprised to see that his friend works there. Lin leaves them to talk, and his friend tells him that his father lost his money and can no longer afford to pay for his food. The archery championship was his last hope to get a scholarship. When they lost, he had to work to cover the expenses. Young is saddened by his friend's words and feels guilty, and they drown their sorrows together. If you enjoyed this series, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Part 2 will be out as soon as we hit 100 likes. Thanks for watching.